morning, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ted Ritter. I'm the global co-chair of the IT community of IFMA based in Phoenix, Arizona. A couple of housekeeping items before we do introductions. This session is being recorded. We always get the question, are you going to share a link to the recording? The answer is, of course we will. So we're definitely good there. We will be hoping to have some Q&A towards the end of the session today. So feel free to put your questions into chat and we will get through as many of them as we can. I'd kind of like to start with introductions. Matt, would you like to give us a little background yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks, Ted. So Matt Munns, I'm the president of Argano AGR. We are a global technology consultancy. We've got about 1,850 people around the world, 1,100 here in the US. We've got major offshore offices in India, and then we've got nearshore offices in Mexico City and Buenos Aires, Argentina. We're focused on end-to-end digital transformation across all the major software platforms and across a lot of best-of-breed systems like Ramco's facility management system.
Thanks, Matt. Rupesh, would you care to share a little bit as well?
Hi, my name is Rupesh and I manage the ERP solution advisory for Ramco. Got 16 plus years experience in several enterprise technologies, including ERP solutions, conversational bots, IoT, predictive analytics, and artificial intelligence and machine learning. Ramco Systems is an enterprise solutions company, also happens to be the first ERP company in Asia, and is focused on providing ERP and enterprise maintenance solutions for the facility management industry. We also have cement solutions, logistics, aviation, and HR and payroll solutions. Ramco has got 28 offices in 35 plus countries today, including 2 offices in United States and 1 office in Canada. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Rupesh. Before we get started with the conversation, we set up a short poll. We'd like to get a little bit of audience interaction, so I think we'll see that come up. What are your biggest challenges with FM service delivery? Good question. Give it just another few seconds. Communication, cost controls, timeliness, resource management. Thanks, appreciate that. I think we can close up the poll now. Great, appreciate everybody's participation. And let's see, the results are resource management, number 1. How about that? Cost controls, number 2, and timeliness of completion of work. Fascinating. Thanks for sharing. Well, to kick things off, Rupesh, some of the things you just said with your introduction. So how do you think digital technologies have transformed business operations for some of your clients?
So, I think organizations in facility management are realizing that they need an integrated solution that is, flexible, transparent, scalable, and of course, mobile. They need a one-stop solution to manage their assets, allocate their resources, minimize costs, maximize profits, and of course, enhance the customer experience. Now, I also think digital technologies enable managers with comprehensive visibility into work orders, real-time status of the tasks that are assigned, site-level profitability, vendor partner KPIs, and other vital, operational parameters. Apart from that, digital technologies like mobile apps also help FM field professionals to perform reporting of inspections, services, and work orders while on the move. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. Matt, do you have any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, Rupesh really hit on it. When you have a workforce that is not at your office and they're executing tasks in the field, I think visibility is a major challenge with that. And mobile technology has given us access to real-time reporting, real-time quality assurance, the ability to communicate within the system, and efficiently execute on that work. So I think that'd be the big takeaway for me there.
Great, thanks. So, Rupesh, you said, Ramco's been around, 25 plus years. I'm curious on how your organization's partnered with FM service providers to ensure that the technology that you were developing really supported their needs.
That's a very good question, Ted. I think the most important part of any partnership is the value proposition, and that is what we bring to our customers. That's our first step in partnering with our clients. For example, when it comes to ecosystem management, the digital technologies help create a coordinated customer, franchisee, subcontractor kind of an ecosystem. For example, it helps data-driven and simplified provider assignments with portals for onboarding your providers, reviewing service contracts, automated billing, and mobile work reporting, as well as inspections for your ecosystem, including subcontractor field agents. With the portals, the customers and service providers can self-service themselves. This portal is like it's like a single stop shop for your customers and contractors for all day-to-day insights regarding their operational work. Another point I want to highlight here is, it's like a consolidated view of things that matter to your customers and service providers. Customers, contractors can get a complete overview of their contract details, the types of services, the dollar value of that service, contract start date, end date. They can view the PO numbers against which the contract is created. They can get the details of the facilities, as to what are the services contracted for that specific facility. Tickets that are generated based on the complaints can also be seen there. Apart from that, site visit details along with the customer feedback can also be seen by the customers as well as your contractors. So I think value proposition is really what we bring to the table for the customers, and that's where we start our engagement.
Thanks, Rupesh. Matt, we saw some interesting answers on the poll we just did, but what have you seen as some of the major pain points, challenges that FM service providers and facility managers experience that really can be solved or alleviated by the correct application of technology?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest challenges that we see across facility managers, both facility management service providers and internal facility management groups within companies, is just the manual activity that they generate. Whether it's initially going to the site to survey the activity that needs to be completed, a lot of times that's captured in paper format, that's communicated back to the office, maybe in an email. Maybe it's as simple as taking a picture of that site format and texting it back. We just see a lot of manual activity. And then the execution of the work. Once you get to completing the work, again, a lot of manual operations that show that what the work was that was done, what should be invoiced out to the customer. All that's fed back to usually, a shared service central office. But the amount of manual activity, creates a lot of extra steps in a work process. As you scale and grow your organization, it takes more and more people to service those folks out in the field. So I think that's really the overall challenge, and the visibility discussion ties in with that too. The central office, the shared services model isn't seeing what's going on in the field real time. There's delays because of this manual activity. Billing doesn't get out on time, thus cash is not collected, so you have a velocity of cash issue sometimes. So there's a whole ripple effect that the manual operations of a lot of organizations we see that it creates. If you look at a best of breed facility management solution, the automation of technology through the mobile application, being able to complete a site survey on a mobile phone and having it visible in the same system back to the head office, being able to schedule and automate the types of services needed, and again, then work orders being auto-generated from that back in the head office, and then completing that fulfillment cycle is the automation of invoicing once those steps are completed, once those tasks are complete in the field. So I think just the extension of mobility into the field to eliminate all that manual work activity allows companies to move a lot quicker. And also brings in an element of quality assurance. We see some unique abilities like geotagging or geofencing customer sites, so we can validate that, whether it's our own people or maybe it's a subcontractor or vendor partner, maybe it's a franchise partner of yours, is actually executing the work. The people are physically there because we're geotagging or geofencing the site. So those are ways that we can eliminate a lot of manual effort and allow companies to scale while not scaling headcount quite at the same rate, thus being more profitable, more efficient.
Thanks, Matt. Rupesh, kind of as a follow-on to the better communication and automation of tasks, how do you feel that mobile applications have improved productivity and communication?
So first of all, I would like to echo what Matt has highlighted in terms of technology helping eliminating manual tasks such as assignment of work orders to the workforce and vendors. And that's really a key pain point today. And we'll talk about mobility, but of course, doing all these tasks manually is time consuming, inefficient, and prone to errors, as there is a lot of complexity involved in matching the assignment of the availability of franchisees and their skill sets on the offer. Now, facility managers can have a real-time view of their operations to monitor and make decisions on the go instead of post-execution reporting of the field professionals. And that is where the mobility comes in place. Now, to specifically answer your question, Ted, this is well supported by mobility, where the field workforce can now view, execute, and report back while on the move through their mobile apps. So I think that's what I feel. Mobility is bringing a radical transformation in the industry, specifically in the field for the field service agents.
Excellent, thank you. So we talked a lot about human resources and talked about reducing manual tasks and automation. I'd like to shift the conversation a little bit to assets and how with the right application of technology, facility assets can be perhaps extended or managed more effectively.
Yeah, I'll grab that one, Ted. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Matt.
Having an integrated system allows you to capture all of the data. As Rupesh said, it helps with things like partner or contractor vendor selection. You can manage KPIs and capture the data that drive those KPIs as you're selecting those partners. Did they show up on time because their people are geo-tagged to that area? How many of their work orders were completed correctly the first time versus how many needed rework, that was put in by the customer. So you're tracking all of those APIs in that regard. At the same time, you're collecting data real time on your assets. You're collecting things like how often are you having to service a machine? How often are you having a breakdown, or unscheduled maintenance, what that unscheduled maintenance code is. And now you're feeding that back into your planned and eventually your predictive maintenance model. So when you should be replacing wearable parts. You should know maybe because of climatic elements in one region, you need to service a certain type of asset more or less. And by doing that, you're expanding the lifespan of those assets. So you're getting a greater return on that investment. You're also utilizing your workforce more efficiently. Again, a lot of the industries we deal with, nearly every customer I talk to still has skilled labor shortages or constraints, especially in certain locations. So being able to most efficiently utilize your workforce is a very important part of that as well. So I think those are the two areas you can really gain by having an integrated system that's collecting all that data from your assets.
So you brought up something very interesting, which is shortage of skilled labor and being able to optimize the wrench time that's available the right way. I think the other side of the workflow processes that, we should, talk about a little bit is, also this one at Rupesh, is how do ERP systems effectively communicate with systems such as CRM or finance, or perhaps even integration with a building control system? Rupesh, you want to take first pass on that one?
Sure. So I think it's important to understand what is an ERP integration with with systems like CRM, and it's basically when your ERP and existing systems like CRM systems communicate with each other either one way or two way, typically by their application programming interfaces. Now, let us also understand why it is so important for an ERP system to communicate with systems like CRM or existing finance system for that matter. The answer is it really helps in streamlining, for example, invoicing and accounts receivables process. It helps in closing the finance books faster. It helps in reducing, the DSOs, billing errors, customer disputes. It helps in empowering your customers, with portals and dashboards. Now, to answer your question, Ted, how can these integrations be done? There are various platforms available in the market that helps you connect the ERP systems with multiple external partner systems and other enterprise applications as well. They basically come with their with their API managers, which help in supporting API governance, which takes care of how an API lifecycle, versions, users, roles, scopes, and all that is managed. It helps in API security. For example, OAuth to token-based security protocols. It supports API-based scalability, API throttling, and all of that. So my answer, in one word, is API-driven approach, and that's how we, as Ramco, believe in bringing together an ecosystem of systems for our clients.
Yeah, and I'd like to jump in there and talk a little bit about the downstream integration. So Rupesh hit on CRM and core financials, some areas like that. One of the biggest advancements in technology that's proven real return on investment to our customers is the Internet of Things, industrial Internet of Things. So being able to integrate and pick up sensor data from your assets has really, goes back to your last question, Ted. It's really helped companies understand better how they should be viewing maintenance, planned maintenance, and predictive maintenance of their assets by the data they're pulling off of those sensors. And the other thing it's done is really just given greater visibility across the whole organization. So not only are you pulling operational data to maybe understand how you should service that asset better, but at the same time, it's being kicked back up in your supply chain organization. So you're making better buy decisions. Maybe it's allowing you to consolidate procurement, procure ahead of time, or procure just in time, as the cost of inventory has gotten more expensive for all of us in the last year. So I really think integrating down to that IoT level is also a big advancement as you look at an overall architecture of systems.
Good observation. I think, especially with the cost of sensors, declining rapidly, it's more viable for more parts of the marketplace. Think about involved with a system implementation some years ago, and FM and real estate organization have been using an IT's help desk solution to try to manage their facilities, and it just wasn't working. So would like both of you to comment on what you see as the real advantages of a system that's purposely built for FM. Matt, you want to take first pass at that?
Yeah, I'll take the first pass of that. So I think, again, we're talking about an integrated and a tailor-built solution like Ramco for facility management. You have X amount of ticketing capability within the system. So, work orders aren't getting completed. Somebody's being notified. There's workflows to automatically address those kind of issues. But the other thing is you can pull in an outside ticketing application through a customer portal. So if you're not picking up that there was a quality issue at one of the performance at one of your sites, but a customer has maybe another new requirement or another issue, he's pushing that ticket, into the overall system. So you're capturing that information. You immediately turn it into a work order. You can turn it into a site visit request. And at the same time, you're pushing it all the way back upstream into maybe your CRM. So you have greater visibility of that customer overall. You understand maybe, hey, we're getting a lot of requests from this customer in city of Dallas. We know that he's also got buildings we're servicing in Phoenix and Sacramento. Maybe we should think about talking about those services to those building managers there. So it also gives your sales force greater visibility. Again, just another way that having an integrated architecture really helps everybody in the organization to be more efficient, drive more revenue and profitability.
Good observations. Rupesh, what are your thoughts on purpose-built?
So I think obviously a purpose-built ERP will have functionality that is tailored to the FM industry. For example, service provider selection based on their proximity, based on the miles and the radius, insights on customer contractor assignment process. For example, simplified contractor assignment process, based on certain filters criteria or based on the ratings of the service provider. Customer billing automation, that's another area that will come as part of the tailored made ERP for the FM industry. We talked about mobility a bit, mobility for work reporting, mobility for inspections by subcontractors or by franchisees. And that takes care of the entire ecosystem of the FM industry. Contractor onboarding, for that matter. You can also get a 360-degree view through customers and supplier portals that Matt just highlighted. So, yeah.
So I think, resources, especially skilled trade resources, are very much in demand right now. So I think, part of the purpose-built thing that we've seen, from some of the case studies and surveys that we've done is having the right personas, accounted for within the technology system. So what does that field technician need on his phone? Don't give him everything else, just give him what he needs. What does the scheduler? What does the scheduler need? What does the accounting resource need? So I think looking at the fact that the life cycle work or the life cycle asset, looking at all the different typical personas that would have a stake in that process would be, I think, what we've seen as a big advantage of purpose-built. Besides human resources, what other challenges have you seen FM service providers face in the marketplace? And I'll leave it to either one of you to jump in.
Yeah, I'll touch back on it, but I want to talk about one more thing about what you just said on human resources, Ted, because you're right. At the end of the day, all this technology is great, but it is still the people and the processes that drive it. If you don't get the roles and the processes of your organization aligned, if you don't get even the organizations with, the departments within your organization aligned, the technology is less successful. And I think if we talk about facility management, a lot of times we are talking about, blue collar labor. So keeping it simple, easy to use, not so complex that it becomes a challenge to executing it is a very important feature. And it's why this mobile first application, everybody's got a smartphone, everybody knows how to use simple applications. It is the way of the world today. Why that really helps with adoption of the technology too. It's a lot easier than having to log around a laptop or even an iPad and having log into a system that's bigger and more robust. So having a very simple application that allows you to say, hey, I'm here, I've clicked off the jobs I've done, and I hit send, or I'm saying I've tagged one issue with an issue with appropriate issue code, and immediately the office knows what's going on at that site. So I think that's a really important point you made there. As far as other challenges that the facility management world faces, I think it's also, especially when you need to have materials, maybe you're providing all the consumables on site, or maybe it's just your cleaning products, or maybe it's more complex because you're servicing HVAC and you're servicing other electromechanical systems at a building. Supply chain's been a challenge, obviously, right? And again, it's where having the data coming back from your sites about what is failing, what are your maintenance times, and having that connected back to your supply chain organization. So they're, immediately getting, either PRs or POs automatically generated. Hey, we see that we're low on these HVAC parts across all of our sites, and we know based on the data we're getting back on frequency of service, we need to be ordering. So I think that's another, supply chain has been an issue for everybody. For a while we couldn't get the items we needed, so we just all stocked up as much as we could. And now the cost of capital has gone up, and the cost of those parts have gone up, and yet they're more available now. So now we're saying, okay, we need to buy more efficiently again. Again, just harnessing all that data and having it integrated from the asset back to supply chain really helps in both of those scenarios.
I'm glad you brought up the supply chain, Matt. I mean, what we've lived through in the last 3.5 years has just been a roller coaster in terms of managing maintenance, let alone manufacturing. Rupesh, any other thoughts on challenges that you've seen?
Absolutely. What I think is, few questions facility managers ask themselves all the time is, how do I manage all kinds of services inside the facility, whether it is, soft services, hard services, security services, pest control, etc. How do I manage all kinds of operations related to these services in the facility? Now, whether it be, again, contracting, workforce planning, contractor assignment, site administration, invoicing, collections, managing the DSOs, how do I manage the tools, equipment, let's say uniform distributions to the subcontractors or franchisees. That's one of the other points that Matt also brought in from the supply chain perspective. The other challenge, I think, is, is insights on site profitability. Again, that is very, very critical today to get a complete visibility and a real-time visibility. The other challenge I can think of is, a high turnaround time for invoice to collection. So that's another challenge a tailored FM solution can address. One of the other challenges on the skill and the recruitment based on the services that a service provider has to offer, and mapping or assigning of the right contractors who offer these services based on their eligibility. So I think those are the couple of challenges that I can think of.
Yeah,
Well,
and
ahead,
I
Matt,
want to expand on one little area there. So we were talking kind of about your subcontractor, your vendor ecosystem. So whether you're a facility manager, service provider, or you're managing your own facilities, most of us have subcontractors, vendors, other organizations in that ecosystem. So being able to track and measure their performance, and which helps us make better decisions on which vendors we should be going for more often, understanding which vendor provides what service, so we can make that decision quicker, through an assignment screen. I think those are other important areas. And then the last one is, again, using, whether it's our people or those vendors, folks, using them most efficiently. So bringing in route planning. A lot of these teams are servicing multiple sites, maybe multiple levels of multiple sites every day. Giving them the tools to plan their day out most productively is also important, and something that you can bring into a unified architecture through a facility management software like we're talking about here.
Great. Can't believe our time is almost up. We've just flown by. This conversation has been great. We've got a couple questions waiting, but Rupesh, any kind of final thoughts before we field a couple of questions?
Yeah, so See, what I think is most of the companies today, for most of the companies, digital transformation requires a shift from a traditional way of thinking and move towards a more collaborative and experimental approach. And these new ways of approaching work reveal new solutions, which in turn can improve customer experience, drive employee innovation, and spur company growth at the fundamental level. And that's where, the topic unlocking business value from digital transformation really comes in play. So that's what I would like to pass as my final thought.
Thank you, Rupesh. Matt, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think my final thought in unlocking the business value through technology is having a more unified ecosystem, whether it's back to your customer or back to your vendors. And through customer portals, vendor portals, mobility applications, this is how we can collaborate at a deeper level with all the people that make us successful in our business. So I think that's the last thought I'd like to leave everyone with.
Great, thank you. So I think we've got time for a couple of questions. Matt, first one I'm going to throw at you is, can you spend a little time describing the business process or approach you utilize when you engage with a new organization? How does it work?
Yeah, so we start off with what we call a business and a systems assessment. We're going to look at the technology that's there today, but most importantly, we're really going to start by analyzing the business. We're going to understand, what their vision is for the company. Do they want to be acquisitive? Do they want to add new lines of business? Do they want to move from a regional to a national model? We're going to look at their business differentiators. What is it that makes them successful and has allowed them to provide excellent service to their customers? We're going to capture all that. We're going to bring our best of breed practices to it, apply those, and help them align business processes. Maybe that entails some organizational change management, consolidating functions from two departments into one. We've done that before, so you have a more unified approach and better control over the company. Maybe it's splitting up some departments that do unique things. And then we're going to help them assess what technology is right for them. So it's not just the functionality of the technology that obviously starts by making sure those requirements meet the business process needs, but it's also looking at how the technology is deployed, how the software partner is going to maintain and manage that on an ongoing basis, what the total cost of ownership is for that customer. So all of that gets wrapped into what we call a business operations and technology assessment. We come out of it with a real detailed playbook that can then be executed to align business processes. Obviously, having change management, education, and training very interwoven throughout and the implementation phase, and get the customer to a future state.
Excellent, thank you. Last question for you, Rupesh. This, it's going to be maybe a little controversial, maybe not. What are your thoughts on AI and machine learning, and does Ramco's solution take advantage of any machine learning components? You're on mute.
Ted, thank you so much for asking that question. That's one of my favorite topics, when it comes to digital transformation. I would talk through this from the Ramco's perspective. Now, Ramco ERP is infused with artificial intelligence and machine learning, which can analyze the data, question a user, recommend optimum solutions to implement to the users. And it is made for the future where the applications should be able to think, predict, and prompt. Ramco is massively investing on these AIML capabilities, and I would kind of try to highlight a few examples of what the system can do. Is for example, handling anomaly detection, recommending of best suppliers or parts that needs to be ordered for a particular part, for a particular fault that is reported. Natural language processing is leveraged in terms of voice bots and chat bots that Ramco supports today on the artificial intelligence and machine learning perspective. Focus is, transforming a passive ERP to an active ERP era. And that's where, that's what we want to bring to our customers. Another point is, event-driven notifications. Now, the idea is again to make your enterprise a real-time system, and a good example of that would be notifications that arrives on a sales manager's phone once an inquiry comes in, or a notification that arrives on a maintenance manager's phone for a fault that is reported on a particular asset in a building, from an FM perspective. Then there's another aspect of anticipatory computing, where the systems can detect equipment that are not inspected for, let's say, more than 6 months, or a specific equipment in a building that has not been rented, for quite some time. System can anticipate, system can prompt you to choose the right technician for a particular type of fault on a specific asset. Couple of other aspects is Ramco supports the zero user interface, which is working towards the future where the users will not be required to use the screens, the conventional screens to enter the data. And, getting rid of this conventional system or the conventional screens and bringing in channels like Outlook emails and, conversational bots for interacting with the system is what we focus today. We also support, like I mentioned, conversational bots, voice bots, and chat bots. These are all intelligent virtual assistants, which simplifies business functions at work. And you can transact with these bots that bring conversational experiences to the users, and they redefine your interaction with the ERP system. It is an intelligent and proactively suggest actions, tasks to simplify your day at work. And of course, these are all powered by deep learning and natural language processing models. One of the other aspects, on the drones integration, just wanted to quickly highlight. Recently, we are also seeing industries deploying drones and apply artificial intelligence to identify the faults. We also integrate with the drone technology, and we are seeing increasing adoption for drone technology, specifically in the solar industry and the construction space.
Thank you. That was a lot. So I take it you really are a fan of AI. I'm just
Can I make one point about ML AI, Ted, real quick?
Absolutely. Go for it.
So while there is great advancement in machine learning, algorithms that are ingesting data and, making recommendations or predictions based on that, a lot of that comes back down to the fundamental fact that all of these systems work off of the data that it ingests. So aligning the people and processes and your master data management is the only way to get value out of these systems. AI is not an end-all, be-all, cure-all for good, sound execution of processes and the management of your data in the system. If the data is managed right, if people are executing the processes as they're defined and laid out, there is a lot of power that is being generated, as Rupesh highlighted with the machine learning and AI that's being brought into the Ramco system.
Thanks, Matt. Garbage in, garbage out. We have a question from Brian, and then I think we're going to wrap up. Post-COVID office environments have become more hybridized from a occupancy point of view. What are some of the greatest challenges that you've seen from an FM perspective of the new office environment?
So I think if you're talking about the amount of potential business out there, I think that does create challenges for facility management service providers. There is this new work away from the office paradigm. Now, I believe that's shifting hard back the other way. I think a lot of us have seen the news around that. And as we go into a little bit tougher economic cycle, I think you're going to see more people understand the value of coming together and being collaborative in person. So I believe this is a pendulum that will swing back the other way. As far as the challenge with utilizing technology, it really just highlights, again, the need for an integrated architecture where all data, all transactions are happening in the system. So everybody, whether they're on the road, at their home, in the office, is looking at that one same source of truth, and they're following the processes laid out for them to ensure work is getting transacted efficiently.
Excellent. We are at time. Matt, Rupesh, thank you so much for the kind of great conversation today. Thank you everyone in the audience for joining us. We will be sending out a link to the recorded version. Feel free to share it with your peers, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.